Hey everybody, this is Özen with my friend Beril. We are starting a new program which is called Kiev Radio. In this program, we will host Ukrainian journalists and experts. We want to hear their comments, their feelings, and their stories during the Russian invasion. Today, our first guest is Daryna Shevchenko, CEO of Kyiv Independent. Daryna, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, are you in a safe position?
Yes.
Great.
Daryna, there are reports that, this war has been one of the deadliest for journalists. So far, 12 journalists have been killed. So I'm wondering how you have prepared yourself for the war reporting and how you and your colleagues are keeping yourselves safe. And what is it like reporting from such a hostile environment?
Well, it's a complicated question. First of all, I should make a disclaimer and say that I am myself not a reporter, though I do contribute to the reporting these times because we are very understaffed. The Kyiv Independent is actually a startup. We are only 4 months old. And we didn't have a lot of people on the staff. We only had more like a bit over 20 people, including both commercial and managerial teams and the editorial team. So we don't have a lot of people. I mostly contribute to the newswire and some, reporting from the safe place where I call people, interview them. Sometimes I, can do interviews on the ground in the safest parts of the country where I am now. And however, we do have a few people who are reporting from the field. It takes a lot of courage to do this kind of reporting, even though we don't send people to the hotspots in the southern and eastern parts of the country. It's super dangerous, and the biggest problem for us is that we don't have any war reporting insurance for journalists in Ukraine. More than that, I don't think it's even possible to get this type of insurance in Ukraine at all. So this is a big problem, not just for the Kyiv Independent, but for the the whole media community of Ukraine. As for our field reporters, war reporters, they are working mostly in Kyiv and in the suburbs of Kyiv, which is also very dangerous because Kyiv satellite towns were under a huge attack. And frankly, as one of my colleagues said, reporting from there gives you a 50-50 chance of dying. And that's what we have to face. We unfortunately didn't have everything prepared for the war. We didn't have the ammunition, we didn't have the bulletproof vest, the helmets, nothing like that. So we got all of that thanks to our colleagues and partners in different countries of the world in the first, I'd say, days to weeks of war. And that's the equipment we are using now. So it is very dangerous, and it's very complicated. We don't assign stories in the field, so we basically pick a strategy of people having to volunteer to go to report from the war zone, the front line. That is working for us now. Anyway, we have 3 people working in the field. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Daryna, you're running a news website. You are the chief executive officer of Kyiv Independent. By the way, you make a brilliant job during the war. Congratulations. When the war first began, you need to keep working as an executive of a news website, but on the other hand, you need to keep your family's security and your security. So are you confused to choose which is prior?
Well, there is no confusion there. We told everybody that, so in the first day of war, we right away switched to 24/7 news coverage, even though we were very understaffed for that. But some people who were able to work took very long shifts on the newswire and on the website in general, and worked very hard to deliver the news to the rest of the world, but we knew that was very important at that moment, and we knew that would be, crucial for the word to get out and for the truth to get out. But at the same time, we told everybody that, their safety and their family safety is their priority. So, in the beginning, there were a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of people who, were on the road for several days. I myself, at some point, was on the road for 3 days, who were trying to relocate with their families, friends, or, trying to get to a safer place, trying to evacuate their families from the very hot spots near Kyiv. That's obviously a priority, but as soon as they would get to safety, they would come back to work. I myself spent the first 10 days of war in Kyiv, in my parents' apartment. So my apartment is close to my parents' apartment, so I basically moved my stuff to their place to be able to help them if needed, and just to be together. But then at some point I realized that being a manager in these circumstances is very difficult. So like when you do the news, your focus is on the news, and that's where everyone's focus is naturally is, right? So I was only while sitting there and hearing the air alert sirens and the explosions around me all the time, the only thing I could do was read the news, and I wasn't really able to do my job. But at some point you just realize that your brain starts going in circles, and it's very hard to focus. So I started in the first days, I started helping the newsroom with the news coverage, and then at some point I realized that I kind of need to get back to what I need to do as a CEO, because I'm not a chief editor. I don't manage newsroom. I don't edit stories. Usually I mostly take care of the finances of the company and make sure that we have funds to do whatever the newsroom finds appropriate to do. And then I was getting a lot of emails from partners around the world, but it was very hard to answer an email. So I decided to leave. And I left to a safer place, to the western region of the country, where it's safer. Though we do get strike alerts like 5 times a day or something, and sometimes they last 4 hours. But I mean, so far it's relatively calm, and here I got back to what I need to do. I started talking to journalists, partners, and being able to do my job. They also started helping kept helping the newsroom with the news coverage, but that's just some minor contribution I can do to just help them in the time of need where we're understaffed, and this is the priority.
So, as Ukrainians, your country is invaded, and you must be really pissed off, and it's a brutal invasion. But on the other hand, you're organizing this group of journalists, and you are also reporting. And in journalism, you have to be unbiased, and you cannot involve your feelings into your reporting. At least you can involve it to a level. So I was wondering, how do you deal with that dilemma? Because it's a war against you, your people, your country, but also you're trying to report from there freely and independently. So how do you deal with that dilemma and, mixed feelings?
There's no dilemma. This war is black and white. And there is evil and there is good. We didn't do shit to provoke Russia or to cause this war or to become a reason of this aggression. So we are just the people living here at our land. We made sure as journalists and activists and, here in Ukraine, the whole civil society works for years so that Ukraine would be a democratic state where we elect a president every now and then. And if he doesn't want to go, then we make him go with a peaceful rally or something. This was our doing. We were taking care of our home, and then Russian people were, I don't know, you could call them the victims of Russian propaganda, but I don't really think they're the victims. They had all the access to information for years, and they were just choosing to support their dictator with their silent compliance, and they decided to attack us. And there is no being unbiased. The truth is just what I told you, and we in the media are telling the truth. You can call it, losing the neutrality, but we call it telling the truth. And that is exactly what we are doing.
So were you expecting a Russian attack? Was it a surprise? Did you have any thoughts on what will you do if Russia attacks one day?
I mean, of course, we live in the very heavy information space where everybody was talking about Russia planning to attack Ukraine and stuff like that, and we had a few meetings trying to make a contingency plan, but frankly, everything we thought this war would be is nothing like it appeared to be. So we thought, we had different. We imagined it differently in many different ways, but not this. So we didn't expect that it will be a full-on invasion that will start in one day, and then on day one, our Kyiv will be attacked and bombed. Mm-hmm. And we probably expected some kind of advance from the east, trying to occupy more cities in the east, and then we expected having a couple of days to regroup and make a decision, but we didn't have that. So I don't think anyone actually expected this war to be a very exact replica of World War II. And having this nightmare bombings and all developing every minute of every day of this war. So yes and no. We did expect Russian attack, but we didn't expect it to be this. We did have contingency plans, but they didn't appear to be very helpful. Though some things we did use, and it's still better than having none, but they didn't correspond with the actual reality.
So you're reporting on the ground. Your team is reporting on the ground. So what is the situation of the war now? How do you evaluate the current situation, and when do you expect this war to finish?
Sorry, I'm not answering these questions. I'm not a military expert or some kind of political expert to be assessing when the war ends. And you can see all the reporting we do on our website. Follow the newsfeed. It pretty much goes in a lot of details, but I don't want to assume anything at this point. Everything I assumed before the war appeared to be wrong. So no assumptions now about this war. I do expect Ukraine to win. I think that there is no other way for us. I think generally, as a person, not as a journalist or even a representative of the Kyiv Independent, I think that Russia has already lost a lot and will lose more. And generally, it's a generational loss. It's a huge loss for their future, their development, whatever they are. And I think Ukraine has already won, and that our civil society showed to be so strong, and that after we win this war, we'll build a whole different country that will be developing much faster, that will be building the life for its people, the life that we always wanted to have. And that will have the support of the world while doing that. That said, I know how hard it will be to rebuild everything we lost in this war. But I'm sure we'll have a lot of motivation to do so.
I wonder that how do you see the foreseeable future? I mean, do you think this war will over and you resume your normal life, or you have entered a dark tunnel? How do you see? How do you feel?
We'll have to redefine normal. First of all, I don't think I can come back to my place at home and be like, okay, let's pretend nothing happened here. That won't be that won't feel right, and that will be just delusional. A missile hit a house near my parents' building, which is like 2 kilometers from my place and at probably 200 meters from theirs. And you can't really pretend nothing happened and just resume your normal life. I think our new normal will be investing a lot into rebuilding the country, into volunteering, into supporting war veterans and war victims.
I think you've been doing an incredibly courageous, brave job, and I know from other journalists, from my colleagues as well, like Kyiv Independent has been the main source of information about reportage from Ukraine. So do you have anything else to add about your journalism or other Ukrainian journalists in the field? Do you want to add anything else about this issue?
I just want to say that I've worked in media for 11 years, and I've been doing different kinds of stuff. I've worked with investigative journalists. I did a lot of media development programs, actually helping reporters, young reporters, and student reporters to find a new way as media, as media world changes and technology changes and stuff like that. I helped a lot as a media consultant on different media make money and make sure they're sustainable and that they can be independent, truly independent, not depending on the oligarch money or any kind of political investment. And I know media pretty well in Ukraine, but I was surprised to see how well Ukrainian media are doing now, despite everything, despite that many of them lost their primary revenue sources, and the advertising market just disappeared overnight. And so for many media, the majority of budgets disappeared. And they still kept on working. They all switched to 24/7 news coverage. They were coming out with new formats. They were introducing new products every day as we speak. Many of them introduced, news in English, even though it was very, new to them and unusual. And they probably didn't have enough resources to do that, but they still did because they thought it was important as the war developed. And I'm very proud of them. It's just amazing to see my team. So before the Kyiv Independent, I'm still a partner at Genomics Media Consulting. That's a media consulting agency that works in Great Britain and Ukraine. Basically, work with different media companies around the world. My colleagues at Genomics started a huge fundraising campaign and actually deployed a lot of efforts to help different Ukrainian media fundraise with the donors, but also crowdfunded for them on GoFundMe. And it was a very successful campaign, and they helped a lot of media survive through this. So, and I think this is great. I'm very proud of all of my colleagues. They've done an amazing job, and they risked their lives. Some of them got killed, and some of them were imprisoned by the occupiers and then released and endured a lot of suffering and danger. But I know that a lot of regional media has closed because they didn't have resources and it was just impossible to work. But I also know that hundreds and hundreds of Ukrainian media kept working despite all the difficulties, and this is amazing. I also know that many Ukrainian reporters, mostly men, but also women went to serve their country as soldiers. And I'm also very proud of them because, that's being a journalist during war is a very dangerous job, but being a soldier, is the most dangerous job. So yeah, I'm just amazed, and I'm very proud to be a Ukrainian media professional right now.
Thank you, Daryna
Daryna Shevchenko, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations for the performance of the Kyiv Independent. You and your team members are doing a great job. Maybe we can get your last message to our viewers.
I just want to say that we are very grateful. Thank you for the kind words and for having me today. We at the Kyiv Independent are extremely grateful for the support. We do understand the responsibility that is on us to report on the war from Ukraine, to being we essentially became the voice of Ukraine overnight, and we understand that, and we try to do our job as good as possible. We're very grateful to all the colleagues around the world who reach out to us and talk to us and ask us about, how we're doing our job, how they can help us and stuff. Actually, the information helps. The fact that you guys are talking about this war is very helpful, because we will probably win anyway, but without your support and without the words out, our victory will come at a much higher price, and we understand that, and we are extremely very grateful. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching this, and please share a word about the war Russia waged against Ukraine. It's a very unfair war. It's a war nobody asked for, and it's a war in which Ukraine is suffering a lot, and we do need every bit of support right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. See you next time.